Hey everybody, today I'm bringing you another installment of my Work the Lines series with Rachel Reynolds, and that's a series where we each take a collection and make a layout. So I'll make sure to link her video in the description box of mine. I have that picture there of my two cats, and they're on my yoga mat. So I was getting ready to do yoga and they were really curious, so it always makes me think of cat-cow, and I always ask them if they're ready to do cat-cow. So very silly, but they always want to do yoga with me, or at least they want to sniff the yoga mat. Anyway, so today we are using Maggie Holmes' Chasing Dreams collection, and I have a lot of papers from there. So I took that background paper, which is Chasing Dreams Keepsake. It's the kind of splotchy one, and then I used that kind of mint paper to mat my photo. That is Chasing Dreams Lovely. And then I'm going to cut that pink heart paper right now. That is Chasing Dreams Maggie. And on that, I placed a cut apart that says Happy Souls Shine. And that is Maggie Holmes, but it's from the Bloom collection, and the paper is called Fresh. I have paper from Chasing Dreams, but I don't really have any of the other pieces from it. So I don't have chipboard or die cuts or anything like that. But I have a lot of Maggie Holmes and crepe paper other pieces from that. So now I'm taking a cut apart, and that is the Maggie Holmes Chasing Dreams Adventure paper, and I'm going to cut out this ribbon piece. And originally when I was doing this, I was thinking about doing something to cover up the rabbit that's in the center of this little prize, but eventually I'm going to have another thought about that. I'm inking all my edges of these papers with the Dewdrop Memento Gray Flannel ink, which I do that a ton. I like that ink because it's not quite black, but it's still really dark. And I'm just going to take that cut apart, the Happy Souls cut apart, and put that just a little bit off the edges of the pink heart Maggie paper there, just so that all of the edges don't line completely up. And now what I'm doing is I'm fussy cutting that banner fussy cutting the ribbon from the adventure paper there from Chasing Dreams. So I wanted to try to use the papers as embellishments as well here. Although I will bring a few other things in as well too. I think all of the Maggie Holmes paper especially, but even the crepe paper pieces themselves really lend themselves well to mixing and matching. Now I'm going to take that piece of kind of yellow, but it's more of a goldy yellow paper, and that is from Chasing Dreams. It's the Cheerful paper, and I just cut it in half. And I kind of liked all the consistent lines on it, but there just wasn't enough of it, and it didn't make sense. I thought about cutting it kind of a little bit lower on it, but it was fine. So I cut that in two, and what I'm going to do now is mount one of them on top and one of them on the bottom so that it looks like it goes all the way through, although it really does not. And I'm going to ink up that little ribbon there, and it's kind of hard to get in these little crevices. That is one of the reasons I like these little Dewdrop or Cat's Eye ink pads, because you can get into some of the smaller spaces with these that you can't get in with a large ink pad. And even sometimes with the, I have the rectangular ink pads from Tim Holtz. Even that's kind of hard to get into, and I just like to ink directly to the paper a lot of times. So now I was thinking about using that blue paper with the pink stripes, but I just really like how that yellow paper sits right on top of this background paper here. It has all the colors in it and it just looks really nice. So now I'm just cutting apart another piece of that adventure paper. I pulled out a cut apart, and I'm going to further cut the label, the pink label that was on that gold and yellow label cut apart, and you see the gold there. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to make this piece work for me. I like that. It keeps stuff from just hanging out in my stash when I make things work for me. So I like that behind the ribbon, but now I'm starting to look for things to mount to give me dimension. And I grabbed that like little tag. It does have a hole in it. It's a piece of chipboard, and then I grabbed the recorded chipboard as well. And all of the chipboard is coming from the Maggie Holmes Open Book Chipboard collection. I also took that arrow there, and just so they wouldn't stick to that paper until I got it inked and decided for sure, I ended up just kind of putting those up on top of my mat, but I know they're going to go up in the top left. And then I found that 3, and the 3 is significant because it's the 2 cats plus me, and we're going to be doing yoga together. Although, seriously, the cats didn't really do it, but they look like they're going to. So that's just kind of a nice way to use a number when I don't often get to use those numbers. So that blue oval circle there is, or blue oval sticker, not circle, is from the Maggie Holmes Shine sticker collection. So I have a few pieces of those left, and I grabbed that, again, because it's Maggie Holmes. And the blue in there works really, really well with the blues in the background paper. That 3 gives that whole little cluster right there a little bit of dimension, and I like how that looks then. All right, and now I kind of have the bottom photo mat and that right embellishment cluster pretty much decided on, so I'm going to work on the embellishment cluster on the top there, and I'm going to stick that arrow to the little chipboard tag there, and that all works well together then. All right, so now I glued down my layers of paper there and the photo, and what I'm doing here is I'm taking my roll of foam tape and I'm just going to stick some foam tape under the tails to that ribbon just to give it a little bit more of a dimensional look, to make it look a little bit more, quote, real, although I'm not sure how real that looks. I found a heart die cut there, and that is from the Maggie Holmes Bloom Ephemera. So I'm going to stick that under the recorded piece there. And you see my envelope there. I use those Cropper Hopper 4x6 photo keepers. They're called photo and negative something. Anyway, that's how I keep my ephemera pieces. I'm going to take that pink heart and I'm going to ink that up. And as I said, I don't have the Chasing Dreams ephemera, so I just went to one of my Maggie Holmes ephemera pieces, and that's the Bloom collection. And then also from the Bloom collection there, I have that really great leaf die cut. And I'm thinking about using this like the rose flower with the leaves there, but it's a little bit too big for that top right cluster. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fussy cut the leaves off of that, so it will preserve the flower, but it will also give me the leaves as well. That's one way, again, to make your embellishment work for you. And I don't normally know that I would have instinctively just cut this apart if I wanted just the flower, because then it would have left the leaves, but I like how the leaves look right there. Sorry about that, my phone just text message went. All right, so now I've got the leaves stuck at the top, and I have the leaves stuck in the cluster, and I grabbed another leaf die cut from that Bloom collection with a little bit of gold on it. Then I found that yellow heart piece, so I'm going to stick that kind of at the top left corner of the photograph. It just felt like I didn't have enough embellishment sort of in the center. There's so much on the bottom right and so much on the top left, but there was nothing in between. So I'm going to add that little heart die cut and the arrow there. And now that arrow has a little bit of gold on it, and so does the leaf. So I'm going to go to my little bag where I keep these punched hearts and scallop circles, but mostly they're hearts. And I have them both in glitter and foil. I use them for a wedding album that I was working on for both of my nephews, actually. I use these in both of their albums. And I just keep them in that little bag because I like to add them to layouts. So the little heart punch is an express punch. I'm not quite sure where that's from. And then the gold glitter paper is from Recollections. And like I said, when I was using the gold paper as sort of like backgrounds and in those wedding layouts, and then when I had extra pieces of it, I just punched the hearts from it in both small and large sizes. In this case, you're seeing the small sizes. All right, so I was toying again with where I was going to put that leaf with the gold on it, thinking about putting it in that, because that cluster there with the recorded is like a secondary cluster almost, but I decided to put it in the primary cluster. Although you can kind of look at that as one whole thing, because the happy souls shine there, kind of that little Polaroid cut apart kind of joins it all together. All right, so now I want a title, and since I'm using little gold accents, I decide to go to my gold alphas, and I find my Dear Lizzie thickers in the Fox font, and I love this font. So I decide I'm going to use that one. It's just really nice. It's small, but it has both uppercase and lowercase, so capital and small letters. And I just like how this font usually fits. I'm going to be really sad. I have really pretty much used all of the first letters from this alphabet, and I'm working on my second set right now. So it's an older set, most definitely. I'll be very sad when it goes. All right, so I'm just kind of playing with what my title's going to be and looking kind of at the letters that I have available. My second set is almost completely intact, so that kind of gives me a lot of options there. And I think I was going to call it originally Time for Cat Cow, but decided that the time sitting on top there would look kind of funny if it just said Time for Cat Cow, because it just wouldn't have balanced properly. So I'll play with the letters here a little bit, not to give too much away, but it's going to end up being Time for some cat cow. And if you do yoga, you understand what that yoga pose is, so that will make sense to you. One of my favorites because it feels really good. I started doing yoga at home almost 2 months ago, and I use a YouTube series for it, a free YouTube series for it. So I'm loving it. A friend and I are doing it, and we challenge each other every day, and I just feel so much better and so accomplished. And even in the very short time that I've been doing it, I really can tell the difference. All right, so I use my wax paper here to help me get the title positioned properly. And that's what I'm doing here, is I'm kind of using that. And my top line may not be exactly where I want it right now, but I know that that's fine, because once I get down the bottom line, I can change my top line. And you'll notice there I was I think I only had one E left between the two sets. So I just took a 3 and I turned it the other way to make it into an E. I really like trying to create letters out of other letters or numbers, because that really helps me stretch my alphas. And that's what I've done here. So now my title reads Time for Some Cat Cow. All right, and then I had one little asterisk left, so I popped that down in the bottom there. That little cluster with the recorded in the heart needed a little bit of gold, and that is just the perfect touch for it. And then I'll do just a little bit of journaling on that tag there, and I will be all done. I did add a little XOXO sticker into the recorded cluster, and then I almost forgot to do the pink twine, but that's up in the top, and you see it in the still shot here. Hope you're all well, and I will be back with another layout again soon. Bye!